Hello guys, in this video we are going to learn um, how to expose a Docker API in a Docker server and access this Docker related API from the remote client machine. In short, I can simply say that I'm going to install Docker on my EC2 instance, and in the next step I'm going to expose my Docker API, and then I'll access, I mean to say I'll perform these Docker operations like a Docker pull or Docker PLs and many other Docker commands from my local machine. In my local machine, just Docker client is required. I'm not going to install any Docker server, or I'm not going to perform any Docker related installations in my computer. So the very first thing, I'm going to launch an EC2 instance. So for this, you need to have a AWS account, and launch an EC2 with a DNS name. Why DNS name is required, I'll cover in the uh, same Docker API with the TLS section. But in this section, we are not going to cover TLS, so that's why uh, ignore on that. So first I'm going to launch an EC2. Before launching this EC2, first I'll create a key pair. So I already generated a key pair in my local with SSH-keygen. If you don't have, you can create on your own with just type a command SSH-keygen in your command prompt like this, SSH-keygen followed by enter. It will and give just a enter like that. As of now, I already have. That's why it is asking me to override. So right now, I'm not going to override anything. Let me use the same keys. So first, let me upload my local keys to Amazon. So just click on this key pairs. In this key pair, an action, you have import key pair here. I can give my key, whatever name you want, you can give, and browse your public key. So in your user home in .ssh folder, you are able to see the public key. If you don't have, just generate on your own with ssh-keygen command. So right now I have, I'm just uploading this thing. Once you upload it, just click on import key pair. And if you don't want this process, you can directly create a new key pair and it will generate a pub and private keys, and you can download your private key like that, pub and private key like that. So right now I just generated, I'm going to launch an instance. So just click on launch instance here. I'm just going to create a demo Docker server. Demo Docker server. I'm just using Amazon Linux only, all with the defaults. So security group also I'm planning to go with the existing. I'm not going to create any new stuff here. This is just a Docker demo, and select the key pair one which we uploaded. And then I'm just going with default settings, guys. Like it will create a public IP with will get the DNS ID, all the stuff like that. So launch an instance. So this instance got launched. So I'm just selecting this instance, go to the security tab. In security groups here, we need to allow the two ports. The very first thing is to manage this EC2. You can get, I need SSH traffic. As of now, for demo purpose, I'm allowing all traffic, but best practice is to allow only your IP. And second rule is whatever port you are going to use for to expose your Docker API, you can expose that port number. Here also for demo purpose, I'm just enabling all traffic. If you want, you can give with a custom TCP and whatever Docker example you are going to expose on 2375, you can open this and use like this, or else for this just a demo purpose, I'm enabling all traffic to this. So right now we enabled our incoming traffic. So let's go to these instances, select our instance, and This is a public IP. In my command prompt, I'm just going to connect to this EC2. So sometimes people will get confused what is the username. Simply you can just select on this connect option. In here you can able to see these things, right? This is where you can connect to your instance. You can connect with public IP or direct DNS. So right now I'm going with the IP only. So uh, I already used my default keep it right ID underscore hundred. That's why I no need to give this location all the stuff. So directly I can use SSH EC2 hyphen user head IP. So I just logged into my Amazon machine. I'm just switching to the root user. I'm just installing Docker auto approve. Just created a sim link. So now system CTL start. I'm just starting this Docker survey. Okay. System CTL status Docker. Now you see this Docker service is active running, but no way Docker API is exposed. Okay. You can see here all this configuration related stuff here. So now right now Docker API is exposed. So let me perform some operations here. Docker PS, Docker images, nothing is there, right? So just consider this color as my EC2. I'm going to launch a new command prompt, which is my local. You see, this is in EC2 instance, and this is my local. So you can see there is Docker service is not running in my PC. Okay, Docker is not there, but Docker client is there. Docker client is required to perform this operation. So how to connect to a remote Docker from our Docker client? Let me show you. It can do in two ways. One, you can export this host name, or else you can directly pass Docker H space your public IP. Here you can get the public IP, right? This one, colon. Right now I didn't expose on anything. If we expose, then we can able to I mean, we can able to see Docker exposed on this port like that, and we need to use that port here. Right now we didn't expose that way. I'm just for demo purpose, I'm just saying this thing, okay? And you need to type like this. So with this said, what it will do, right? We are performing these Docker PS. I mean to say, running container. We want to see on this remote server like that. So right now, if you enter this, we will get error only because Docker API is not exposed. Okay. So that's why it is not getting any response. That's why it's keep on idle. So in our very next step, you see here it is showing as actively refreshed, and even if you want, you can search here like that netstat PULP, and you can see there is no Docker expose here. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how we can expose Docker. So simple thing, in some machines, it supports, I mean, in some older versions of Docker, you need to override the Docker default comps with etc docker daemon.json. But in newer versions, you need to create a file and override whatever you want. You can override your default storage. I mean to say, if you type Docker version, you see this is the newest version, and let me show you Docker info, and here you see the default Docker storage is varlib Docker, and if you want to change it to some other thing, yes, you can do by overriding these values. In the same way here, I'm just planning to override my Docker API. So for that, I already created a documentation. You can go and check in my GitHub repo. And here, this complete stuff is for TLS based API. I mean to say a secured way of connecting. But right now, in the very first demo, I'm just showing you with the insecure way only. So ignore this stuff. We'll cover this in the next video. So here what I'm going to do, I'm just creating this file in my Amazon EC2. Let me clear this screen. Right now in Amazon, I'm just creating this file, and then in that file, in that folder, I'm going to add a file override.conf, and in that override.conf, I need to add these entries. So I'll explain all this stuff. Don't get worried, don't get confused also. So right now ignore all this stuff. This is not required. I'm just removing all this, and we don't want to override the storage. That's why I'm just removing all this stuff. Okay. So here right now 4243 is there. Let me change it to some other number. Anyway, we exposed all ports, right? So I'm using 2375. So what this will do, right? This will inject these settings at the time of Docker start, and we are going to expose our Docker service to complete net traffic on 2375. Example, you want to expose your Docker to some specific set of servers, you can use that. But here I'm exposing to the complete world. So I'm just saving this file. Once you're done, then you need to type systemctl daemon hyphen reload to reflect the changes. Then systemctl. Before restarting Docker, let me show you how it was there earlier. Okay, you see there is no Docker expose anything. Now, now when I type a restart, systemctl restart the top. So once it gets restarted, then we will see the status. Then you are able to see this port expose thing. Let me type status Docker. Now you guys able to see these new changes, right? It is exposed on this port. So now let me show you Docker PS. Nothing is there. Docker PS minus a nothing is there. Docker images nothing is there. Okay, and in my from now what I'll do from my local computer, I'll manage these Docker things over the API. So I already explained you right how we'll do that. So first we need this public IP, and like this 2375, or else you can expose with 2375 like this. Whatever is feasible for you, you can try that. So right now I'll show you both. Earlier we are getting error. Right now let me check this. Now you are able to see, right? Images. So example, for each and every command I need to use this host, right? I'm overriding this host like full CentOS. Right now I'm just pulling a CentOS image. So it's hard for everyone to each and every time, I mean to say each and every command we need to use this hyphen H sort of thing. Uh, Example, now I want to see whether this image got full or not. So again, Docker images, you see, able to see. But every time we need to um, add this thing. So to overcome that, you can override that with like this as an environment variable. Sorry, that you can actually you can use a set command set. And now simply type Docker PS. Docker images. So don't get confused. Here we are running Docker images over API, and this is not in our local. Now you can go and see here when you type Docker images, you'll see CentOS image. So from my local machine, I mean to say from my local computer, I have a Docker CLI. Just a CLI like AWS CLI, Azure CLI, Docker CLI is installed, not Docker server. So with that CLI over the API, I'm just connecting to my remote Docker server and performing these actions. So with that said, we are performing these operations on my remote machines. If you want, you can run a simple container. We clear this thing right now. I'm in my computer. So I'm running like Docker run uh, some CentOS. So here you time the look PS. Yes, my say. You see, this just I just did a demo one, so ignore why it exited all the stuff. So I just created one thing. So like this, you're going to perform these Docker operations on a remote Docker server over the API call. So with this said, we are done with this Docker API thing, and if here we have one challenge or a security breach is we expose our Docker API to the external world over 000 like 2375, right? So from my computer, I'm just accessing this. Even from your computer also, you can able to access, you can do anything. So you can delete the images, you can delete the containers, and you can perform any operations like you have the complete elevated access, right? So to restrict that and to provide a secure way of communication, Docker has one option that is with that enabling the certificate based communication. So what we'll do in certificate based communication, actually we need to create a CA file, and in at the server end we need to have a server cert and server key, whereas client side also we need client cert and client key. So once you generated these things and you need to add these things in the server, only with these client files who have access to these client files, they can only perform operations on the Docker API. Others, they will get denied error. So to generate this Docker certs also, it's a very easy process. I already documented it. We need to just follow this one, two, three, and three simple steps. And first thing, we need to have a DNS for that. So that's why I said this thing in our initial starting up this video, like a public DNS. So we need to add this public DNS when you're executing these commands. So in short, simple thing, we are going generating CA, and just you need to update this public DNS here. That's it. Everything, every command is same. And after that, you need to earlier we removed the certs, right? You can just append those things and then restart Docker. That's it. So how you will connect to the Docker server with certs means simple. Right now we are connecting like this, right? Then you need to add these extra steps. These are the extra steps. However, we are adding for a server, say we are adding for the client like TLS verify, TLS CSR equal to CA.pem, set.pem, TLS key.pem, like that. You need to add and you need to communicate. Anyway, I'm going to cover that in the